Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. This is an emergency live broadcast. So Donald Trump is trying to end the war, bring it to an end, the war between Russia and Ukraine. He ran on this promise. For the last 2 months since Trump has been president, there have been 6 mineral deals that he tried Ukraine to sign, and that would actually guarantee Ukraine's safety, because that means they are now officially economic partners with the United States. Russia has agreed to sit down and talk, but Zelensky only talks that he wants peace, but when it comes to actually doing it, he doesn't do it. On top of that, European Union and European leaders are pushing Zelensky to keep on fighting. They are going against Trump, and America's the leader of NATO. Well, 3 days ago, Zelensky sat on international TV and said, "Don't worry, everybody. We don't need to make peace. Vladimir Putin is going to die soon, and this whole thing is going to be over." Well, guess what? After he said Putin is going to die, guess what just happened? One of Vladimir Putin's security limos just exploded outside of the FSB building, just steps away from the Kremlin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a World War III type of situation. When you try to take out the president of the country you're at war with, this is where all hell breaks loose. Do me a huge favor, ladies and gentlemen. Smash that thumbs up button. Make sure that you're subscribed. Leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from? Proof is in the pudding. False flag staged by Russia. The only one that for these last 3 years that has staged false flags has been Ukraine. Remember when the rockets flew into Poland and killed 4 Polish civilians, and Zelensky started screaming, "Russia's attacking NATO"? It was actually Ukrainians who did that just to have a false flag. 2 days ago, Zelensky said Putin is going to die soon. Don't worry about it. And boom, this happens. Let's get right into it. I'm going to play you this clip of the car burning and then Alex Jones kind of breaking down what happened. This is the car. That's the car that exploded.
In what could be one of the most dangerous war escalations yet in the 3+ year Russia-Ukraine NATO proxy war conflict. In the early morning hours today, right outside the FSB headquarters in Moscow, one of Vladimir Putin's fleet of armored limousines exploded and then burned. It's being treated as some type of act of terrorism, especially because just 3 days ago, the dictator of Ukraine, Zelensky, said, "Oh, Putin's old, he'll be dead soon, or maybe dead sooner because of something else. So I'm not worried. This is all coming to an end."
Суспільство залежить, але і залежить від його років. Він помре скоро, це факт, і все закінчиться. Тобто його питання він може...
By the way, I want to intervene really quick. Zelensky said this. So this interview happened right after, like 20 minutes after, they had a secret closed-door meeting of France, the UK, Germany, with Zelensky and many others talking about sending troops to Ukraine, going into direct conflict against Russia on behalf of Ukraine. And so they had a closed-door meeting, no cameras, nobody, just the leaders with Zelensky. Zelensky walks out of there, goes in front of the media and says Putin will die soon.
Закінчити до того, як він, скажімо так, закінчить своє абсолютно безпечне і невдале історичне життя. І ось чого він боїться.
And we have the deputy head of the unelected EU Commission a month ago saying, "Oh, we're going to win this war with Russia and then break Russia up in 5 parts." And then, of course, 2 days ago, they had an emergency war summit, the UK, France, Zelensky, and others, and said, "We're sending troops," meaning France and England, directly into...
I want to comment. I see Larry Thomas. You said, I am not for either for Russia or Ukraine, but Russia is the dictator. No, I have family in Ukraine. I have family that lives in Ukraine. They are terrified of Zelensky. Zelensky, between Russia and Ukraine, who has killed American journalists in the last 3 years? Was it Russia or Ukraine? Ukraine, you got that right. Who killed American citizens for a tweet? Was it Russia or Ukraine? It was Ukraine for a tweet. Just Google search. American journalist dies in Ukrainian prison. For what? For propaganda, pro-Russian propaganda. He cancels elections. He steals American taxpayer dollars, and then he sells the weapons that we gave him on the black market to our enemies like Hamas, Taliban, and the cartel. Zelensky has closed the Ukrainian border so that you can't leave. It is North Korea. Ukraine is North Korea 2.0. The borders are closed. The media is completely run by the government. Men are kidnapped from the streets against their own will and forced to fight in this war. Now, so the real dictator is Zelensky. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, Article 18, Section 2 of the Ukrainian Constitution says this, that a Ukrainian president can only serve 5 years as president. It doesn't matter. Martial law, civil war, it doesn't matter. As soon as your 5 years are over, the Speaker of the Parliament becomes president until elections can be held. Zelensky was supposed to step out of office just under 2 years ago. Do you know what has happened to two speakers of the Ukrainian parliament? Because they spoke up. First one, he said, hey, Zelensky, your time's running out. It was about a month before his 5-year tenure was over. He died in a helicopter crash. The helicopter just magically crashed in Kyiv. Then they install a new guy without an election. And then the other guy says, hey, guess what? According to the Constitution, I'm supposed to become the president, and you're supposed to go. Somebody killed him in his apartment in the middle of the night. Interesting. Third one is in jail right now, begging Trump to help him. I'll show you a picture. I have it on my phone, but I'll show it to you best way I can. That was the third speaker. His name is Dmitry Dubinsky. Dmitry Dubinsky. He was the third speaker of the House. That is him behind a glass wall in a Ukrainian prison because he was apparently stealing money, but there's no evidence. And he even says, show the evidence that I stole any money. There is none. So Zelensky, even according to his own constitution, is an illegitimate president. On top of that, Zelensky has these goons that go around and kidnap men. I have family in Ukraine. They are men dressed as women just to go grocery shopping. Grown-ass men have to dress as trannies just to go buy food for their families. So, oh, here it is.
We're sending troops, meaning France and England, directly into Ukraine to fight the Russians directly. Now, advisors have already been there throughout the last 3 years. But now they're saying, oh, if any of our troops get killed, we count that as an act of war against those NATO nations.
So NATO is begging for a war with Russia. I'm going to play you the full video of Zelensky saying, oh, don't worry about Putin. Putin's going to be dead soon.
But it also depends on his age. He will die soon, and that's a fact, and it will come to an end. And it could come to an end even before.
абсолютно
ends his absolutely
безпечне і
safe
невдале історичне життя.
losing,
І
historically
ось чого він
losing
боїться.
life, historically
і
lost
наодинці
life. But
за 100
it also
він помре
depends
скоро.
on his
Це факт.
age.
І
He will
все
die
закінчиться.
soon, and that's a
Тобто
fact,
його
and it will
питання він
come to an
може
So a person, yeah, it's yeah. I'm seeing the stupid comments. Oh, this is clickbait. How's it clickbait? Everything I've said is factually true, and I proved it. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to play the full 10 minutes of Alex Jones talking, but I'm going to tell you what he said, and I agree with him. He, in his video, is begging, literally begging, to President Trump, to leave NATO now. They don't want peace. Zelensky doesn't want peace. The Ukrainian people want peace. They want peace really badly. Zelensky doesn't want peace. Now, people are saying, I hope he's okay. He survived. He wasn't in the car. He wasn't, from what I've read, even in Russian reports, he was inside the Kremlin. Zelensky doesn't want peace. But it's Europe and Zelensky. They want war. And they are willing to go, and they are out of control. Usually the United States kind of controls NATO and keeps everyone in line. Under Joe Biden, see, when America has weak leadership, Europe just goes on this rant. If you've noticed, whenever Europe thinks for itself, they always go to war. If you look at World War I and World War II, Europe started them, not Russia, not the Soviet Union, not the Russian Empire, not any Muslim country, not an African country. It was always Germany, France, Switzerland, all of them. Italy, not the United States. And so whenever nobody's like controlling them, Europe just goes to war. They start wars, death, destruction. And so America, you know, in the last 90 years became like this big brother, overseer, keeping them in line. But then after 4 years of Biden, they're like, we can do whatever we want. And you know what? Kind of like Trump told Zelensky, we've made you into a tough guy. Biden turned you into a tough guy. Same with Europe. Biden turned them into tough guys. I mean, look at Macron. He's not a tough guy. The dude is married. His wife is his husband. Macron's wife is his husband. Candace Owens, great documentary, Becoming Bridget. His wife is his husband. Look at the leaders of Germany. Or the UK. There's a video of him and a boxing thing. And the thing is, the people that want war, they've never seen violence. The people that want to go to war, they've never seen violence. They've never been in a bloody street fight. I don't want violence. I mean, I've seen horrible things. I've experienced horrible things, and I've been in horrible situations. I don't want war. Even if I don't like those countries, I don't want war. I want peace. But it's the weak ones who don't know what violence is, who have never been violent. They want war because they understand they're not the ones that are going to have to die. They're going to send their troops, like Zelensky. He's not on the front lines. He's kidnapping men and sending them on the front lines. So before I wrap up, I do want to play this clip again from the very beginning, ladies and gentlemen. Not this one. This one. So this is the limousine that Putin takes whenever he wants to go across the world. I mean, this is the car that they carry everywhere, or that he travels in. This is the one that they burned.
In in what could be one of the most dangerous war escalations yet. France, the UK, and other nations are sending troops directly in to fight the Russians. I just pray that President Trump, Putin, and others can somehow de-escalate this, but there is now no intention by major members of NATO and others to ever stop this war.
Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to end it with this, but listen to this. If Trump and Russia, I believe the only way to stop this now, Trump and Russia, Vladimir Putin flies into the United States. Trump and Putin signed an agreement that we will not go to war against each other ever. No more proxy wars against each other. And if somebody attacks you, I'll actually help you. Let's have an economic relationship. Let's have a military agreement. You don't attack me. I don't attack you. We never use proxies against each other ever again. Nothing but friendship. But if you're attacked, I will come to your aid. If Trump does that, that he will stop this right now. Listen, this is why the globalists, since World War II, the end of World War II, have done everything they could to make sure that Russia and the United States never get along. When this is over, Google search, research, Operation Unthinkable. Churchill, after World War II, when he saw that the United States and the Soviet Union were becoming friendly, he said, this is bad. Well, I'm not going to be a world power anymore. So what did he do? He wanted to go to war with Russia to break them completely. Plan 2 was take prisoners of war, the Nazis, prisoners of war, give them weapons and be like, look, come fight with us against the Russians. And if we win and you survive, you get your freedom. That got shut down. And plan 3 of Churchill was propaganda. Russia's an enemy. Soviet Union's an enemy. They will always be an enemy. They only want to destroy us. They only want to steal our land. They only want to kill us. And because of his propaganda, Churchill's propaganda, NATO was created. NATO, after World War II, was created because of a lie by Churchill. And Zelensky, for anyone that wants Zelensky threatened the United States in the Oval Office. And he called J.D. Vance the B word in Russian. Screw Zelensky. He needs to be overthrown. I feel bad for the Ukrainian people. Again, I have family in Ukraine, friends in Ukraine, and in Russia. Nobody wants this war. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see how this all plays out. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time. I'm going to stay on top of this story. I'm going to stay on top of everything that that is going on. I'll keep you guys all updated. I appreciate your time. By the way, if you want to become a channel member and support the work that I do here, ladies and gentlemen, there's a join button down below. I appreciate you guys. Give the video a thumbs up. I love you. Have a great day. Pray for peace. Pray for protection. Pray for Trump and wisdom to come upon him on how to solve this. And so those demons of war that are controlling Europe right now would just lose their grip. And so the spirit of peace can take over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, they are itching for World War III, but because those are weak men, they want to create hard times. They don't understand that World War III is not going to be like World War I or World War II. This is going to be nuclear war. And what's crazy is there's only 2 leaders in the world that are willing to give up their nukes if everybody else does. That is Trump and Putin. But Putin's the enemy. Fascinating. God bless you guys. Love you guys. See you soon.